Can you move over one?
I'm going to say short.
Hey.
Yeah. Simon.
Except it's filling up very fast.
Another lady, I thought it was you, then I realized. For the recent test, she was going through a hard test. 2 weeks. We all got it. What did that Yes. Oh, John Lewis. I'm thinking
Friends, we're going to begin in just a moment. Just a couple of things if I can. I think many of you have been here before. If you need the washrooms, they are inside the gallery, which is to your right in the rear. We ask, though, that you do have your masks on when you're inside the building. You do not have to wear masks outside, though you may choose to do so, and given that everybody's kind of sitting pretty close to each other, it's probably not a bad idea, but that's up to you. Also, if I could ask you please to turn off or silence your cell phones. I'd appreciate that as well.
Do you want to adjust the camera? It's a little bit too low.
Oh, sure, please. Just on the stick. Thank you.
There you go.
שיביתי אדוני לנגדי תמיד כי ממני בוא למות לכן שמח ליבי ויגל כבודי אף בשרי ישכון לבטח כי לא תעזוב נפשי לשאול, לא תיתן חסידך לראות שחת. תודייני אורח חיים, שש מחוק את פונך, נעימות במנחה נצח.
I have set the eternal before me. God is at my side. I shall not be moved. Therefore does my heart exult and my soul rejoice. My being is secure. For you will not abandon me to death, nor let your faithful one see destruction. You show me the path of life. Your presence brings fullness of joy. Enduring happiness is your gift. Thank you all. Thank you for being here. And not only for being here in this moment, but thank you for being here for this family through all of the moments of joy and of simcha and celebration and the difficulties of this illness, the challenges they've had in these last months, the challenges that they've had in being isolated and separated because of COVID and because of distance, but you have spanned that distance by reaching out on phone and email and connecting, letting them know that you hold them in your hearts and your thoughts and your prayers. And that's what we're going to continue to do this evening. It's really quite remarkable when one thinks about it, and sad also. When so many people come to a funeral, there are often at least two reasons. One is the person was too young to die. And that is indeed the case here. And the other is that they made, in the time that they had, such incredible, enduring, and lasting friendships that everybody wanted to be here, to honor her memory, to say a prayer to support the family, to maybe even share a story and draw a lesson from her life. And so in the first, there is, of course, the sadness of not having had enough time. And in the second, there is the blessing in realizing that with the time that Judi had, she filled it with all of you. How she used that time. Rabbis for ages have taught that the dash, the hyphen between the two dates on a matzeva, on a tombstone, is the same length. Everybody's hyphen in their typesetting is the same. But how you fill that line, the points along the way, that is different. And you are how Judi and Len and this family filled that line. And you filled it as you are with this tent to overflow. So thank you. Our tradition teaches us to turn to the Tehillim. Cantor Gutman just chanted one of the Psalms, writings that are attributed to King David, to find in those ancient words of comfort and consolation for our present circumstance. It's really quite remarkable that words written so long ago can still have meaning and insight for us today. In one of those Psalms, we read, Adonai mi yagur bo chalecha mi yishkan b'har kodshecha. God, who may abide in your house, who may dwell in your holy mountain. The writer here, King David, is listing the qualities of a good person, a good neshama, a mensch. And listen to what is described. Those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not slander others or wrong them or bring shame upon them, who scorn the lawless but honor those who revere God, who give their word and come what may do not retract it, who do not exploit others, who do not take bribes. Those who live in this way shall never be shaken. Amen. In another psalm, we read, Adonai, you have been our refuge in every generation. Before the mountains came into being, before you brought forth the earth and the world from eternity to eternity, you are God. You return us to dust and decree that we are mortal. For in your sight 1,000 years are as yesterday when it has passed, as a watch in the night. You engulf us in sleep. We are like grass that renews itself. At daybreak it flourishes anew, and at dusk it withers and dries up. The span of our life is 80 years and 10, or given strength 80 years. But the best of those years of trouble and sorrow, they pass by speedily, and we are in darkness. Therefore, teach us to number our days, that we may attain a heart of wisdom. Turn to us, O God, show mercy to your servants. Satisfy us in the morning with your love, that we might sing for joy all of our days. Let your deeds be seen by your servants, your glory by their children. May your favor, O God, be upon us. Establish the work of our hands, that it may long endure. There are so many verses in that psalm that speak to Judi and her life and how she lived it and how she interacted with all of you and the world. I think about her and the Sholom BC welcome desk at the Jewish Community Center, and how so much the gladness of her heart, the joy of her her life, singing for joy all of her days, the work of her hands. It was to reach out and welcome people, new immigrants and new visitors to our Jewish community. To be, in some cases, maybe the first face they saw when they walked into that building that is the center and the heart of our Vancouver Jewish community. And to have Judi at the heart of our heart, what a fortunate thing that was. What a wonderful way to introduce our community to others through her. She truly did sing for joy all of her days. This was a happy person. A little goofy at times she could be. You used the word goofy, so I'm using goofy. But she was loving and caring and loyal and warm. She was a remarkable friend. She loved her family, her children. Actually, use the word zany. I used goofy. You wrote zany. But you could count on her as a friend anytime, for anything. One more psalm I want to share, and that's on the inside of your handout. Cantor Gutton's going to chant it in Hebrew, which is not there, and then we'll read together in the English Psalm 23.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לו אחסר, מינות ישר בצאני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני, נפשי ישובר. ינחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא מוות לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, דשנת בשמן ראשי. כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי. ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
Let's read together the inside of your handout. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. To everything there is a season, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and to die, plant and uproot what is planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh. I'm going to get that on cue. A time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak. And there is a silence in amongst this family and this circle of friends. And so we don't just only speak. We speak words of Torah. The Torah of Judi's life, we draw lessons from it. We tell stories about it. It becomes l'dor vador, something we pass on from generation to generation. And in that way, she remains always a part of us, a part of our memory, and therefore a part of this world. So Doran is going to begin, and then we'll continue in, I think it was age order, right?
I didn't always understand the way or reason my mom did things. Growing up, it seemed she kept everything. I used to joke that we had reams of paper from the 1980s lying around, just in case. It was sometimes frustrating when time to find things in her basement or storage. Fast forward 25 years later, and the toys she loved through 3 houses are now being enjoyed by all the more by her 12 grandchildren. In part because of the fascination of playing with the toys their parents once played with at the same age. I think part of this was a refusal to throw things away, but I know part of this was my mom's wisdom and foresight shining through. My mother had a voracious appetite for information, and has always dived deep in the subjects that interested her. While we were growing up, it was Vancouver real estate. It seemed like she knew every house for sale when we were kids. Then, when that was no longer important to my mother, she got into gardening. And basically became a botanist, shocking even her gardeners with the amount of knowledge she had accrued. My mom always sent or gave us newspaper articles about things she thought we needed help with. I didn't always appreciate this. The last time my family visited, my mom sent us home with an article about something we had talked about during the visit. This wasn't something she found during the visit. This was an article she had found interesting at the time and saved just in case it would be useful at a later date. That's an amazing amount of emotional intelligence and wisdom. I see now that this was born out of her voracious appetite for information. But she went a step further, made sure she could pass along the information she gathered to help others. I would have friends come over and meet my mom for the first time. There were many times where by the time they left after first meeting her, they were asking my mother for advice. I've never seen anything like it. She just exuded wisdom, and even upon meeting my mother, it was clearly evident. She connected with people so quickly and so honestly. A few years ago, I started playing Dungeons and Dragons. And in my mother, I see the quintessential druid. A class that uses wisdom to develop a connection to the world around them. That was my mother. A high wisdom character with an unparalleled connection to the universe. I could never play a druid, as I don't understand that connection. In my mother, it was evident in so many ways. From her recycling efforts, starting with helping establish a program at Talmud Torah, to ways of viewing the world that often seemed a little out there to me. There are so many reasons that I will miss my mother. Her strength, her loyalty, her goofiness, her spontaneity, her weirdness in all the best ways. I think it's the font of wisdom that she has always been that I will miss the most. I'm not sure it's replaceable. I think of the ear and the advice that our grandchildren will miss out on, and it breaks my heart. If I knew nothing more about my mother and the impact she had on my children in such a short time, it would be enough for me to know how amazing, wise, and compassionate person she was. Thank you.
This one here. No, I need her. Okay. If you know me, you know I do not like speaking in front of even a small group. But for a few very select special people, I will make an exception. Mom. There are so many words to describe her. Kind, loving, warm and welcoming. Her door was always open, and it was understood that you didn't need an invite. There were numerous times when groups of my friends would pass through town and stayed at my parents' house, often when I wasn't even there. Teacher of life lessons, crazy intuitive, compassionate, avid reader, wealth of knowledge, wonderful spirit. It's The little things that will get me. I'll miss calling her for her sound advice, especially advice about the kids. I'll miss making fun of her red nose, opening her towel closet and admiring the perfectly folded towels, organized by color. I'll miss her goofy shenanigans that she was always up for. Her smile, her laugh, winks from across the room, and that all-knowing look she'd give you. Mom had quite a goofy, fun-loving, nutty side too, and a great, sometimes weird sense of humor. So Mom, if you're watching me now, and you think you recognize what I'm wearing, it's because of course I had nothing to wear to this, so had to borrow something from your closet. And I thought you'd get a kick out of me borrowing a dress. Patient, nurturing, calm, accepting, amazing cook, baker, and crouton maker, competitive, unconditional love, baby whisperer. The hardest part of all this is that the grandkids will not get to grow up with their bubs in their lives. Her grandkids brought her so much joy, but also watching Mom with them brought me so much joy. Her connection with each of the grandkids was so special. Often after we'd go for a visit, Mom would tell me that she purposely didn't clean the mirrors or glass doors because she just loved seeing all the little handprints on them. People keep asking me what I need, what they can do. What I need the most is for everyone to keep her memory alive, to always tell stories about her, to me, to the kids, to Dad. And I know there's no shortage of stories about her. Mom was so strong. I've always admired her strength, and I want to make sure everyone knows that she had made peace with whatever the outcome was going to be. So knowing that, although I am immensely heartbroken, I too was able to make peace with this all. I'm very grateful that we had a chance to visit her and say our goodbyes and to allow this beautiful soul to leave us. To know her was to love her, and the world is a better place for having had her in it. She leaves behind some big shoes to fill, and she will forever be in my thoughts and in my heart.
I was supposed to leave out these emails from her niece, Lena, and I didn't do that. So they are going to be... I was supposed to leave out an email from her niece, Lena, who came in and had a visit with her also in the hospital. And then she wrote us this great email, and really explains my mom, for sure, we all thought. And we thought everyone should have a chance to read it. So it's going to be at a table over there.
I think so.
We believe it'll be at a table over there. It's a big white sheet, and it looks like someone wrote an email on it. So I first want to say thank you to my dad, Dorn and Shayla, because I was not part of providing this farewell to my mom at all. I visited her and said goodbye, but I wasn't part of making this ceremony, so thank you, because this is really what is important. And to Sandy Bowman, David Carr for getting the word out to everybody. It took a lot of pressure off one thing off my dad's shoulders for sure. And there's lots of people who are contacting us, and I don't even know everybody, so thank you for offering all the help and support. Mom died on September 8th, and I'm gonna say it was at 8:20 p.m. because I like the idea that she died at 20:20 because her instinct was just that. Her vision was ultimate. The first day I visited her, I read her this poem. A playhouse is a place to play in. A playhouse is to get away in. A place for keeping favorite rocks, for reading books, and for talking talks. And then I got to the part where it says, the place to go when you need to cry and when you don't want to say goodbye. And I paused because I didn't want to say goodbye, and I stopped reading, and I was crying, and because the simplest statement is I don't want to say goodbye, and that's the truth. And the next day I went running with Oliver along the farm road near our house, and we were in search of wildflowers to decorate her room, and Oliver says, "Dad, why are you crying?" And on the open road, it felt so good to announce, because I miss my mom. And I believe my parents hold the belief that simple is best. My dad says KISS, an acronym. Keep it simple, stupid. And my mom acts simply. She believes in listening, understanding, and appreciating. So simply, I am not ready to say goodbye, and I will miss my mom. I will remember her, of course, and recently I really seem to want to remember her under that apple tree as the humongous apples, and she'd be there in the morning picking them, and then we'd all have the best applesauce ever. And I don't know, that's really a good vision I have. But I'll also remember her in this position where she was in her hospital bed, and the doctor was explaining the complexities we were facing. My mom was weak and deprived. She craned her neck and rolled her head forward. She just looked so calm, and she perked her ears up. She closed her eyes, and that means she's focusing, she's listening, she's taking in all the details. And just remembering that, the pose helped me realize that she will remain perched. She will be listening and watching. She will be ready to take in all the details of the many new accomplishments, the many new experiences ahead for myself, Stephanie, Mia, Lila, and Oliver. My kids, they will be shy meeting you today. Lots of unfamiliar faces. So to help break the ice, I thought I'd let you know that Mia is 7, and she's started grade 3, and she has her 2 best friends from kindergarten. So you can talk to her about that when you see her. And Lila is 5, and she's starting kindergarten. She's a daredevil, and she's prolific in coloring, in scissor cutting, and in gift giving. And Oliver is 3, and he is still rocking his baby hair. He has not lost his innocent instinct yet, and his favorite color is yellow. And when I was talking about Oliver and his innocence, I was like, I should sing this song, and I'm doing really well here, so I think I will. It's only like 2 verses. It's about not. Anyways, it goes. So it goes. When the cops close the fair, I cut my long baby hair. That's it. But it's he still has his innocence intact for sure. Oh yeah, and Oliver, he often tells us now that without his two sisters, he would fall on his face. And also I want to say that something I talked to my mom that I pass on to her is that as a parent, you really everyone's saying, you know, she spoke so highly of her kids, they loved her, and as a parent, you really do know how much you love your kids, and I know that then that was given to me when I didn't even know anything, right? And so I know that she loved me, and I always felt that she loved me, and I know that because I know how much I love my family and my kids. So yeah, I'll miss a lot of things, and I will miss making her laugh when I experiment with treasures kept in the fridge, and I will miss giving hugs, especially. But I did get to hug her. I got a hug from her prior to her going to hospital, and I'll have that. So especially the long ones when you needed it. And I will miss making her proud. And I will miss having her show me that she can balance rocks. And I really hope that she remembered to bring her binoculars. And this October, my family, we're going to get we bought a trailer a long time ago, and we're going to go get it. And it's up in the Shuswap area. And so I'm really excited because I have a good memory of going up that way with my parents and Dorn and Shayla, of course, too. And if it makes sense, it'll be in October maybe, and the salmon will be running, and we'll get legitimate bannock, and that's just a really good memory I have that we spent as a family. It's going up to Adams River, so I hope I do that, and I know that'll make my mom really proud. Thank you.
I can't believe why we're here. Thanks. Thank you for coming. I just want to first mention how accommodating the shul has been. Since moving to Gibson's, which by the way, Judi absolutely loved, and our family no longer really being in Vancouver, we have not been members for a few years. We came in to meet with the rabbi and left with just a ton taken off of our shoulders. So thank you, Temple Sholom. This may take a while because I cry a lot. I am a crier. You know, to cry at commercials. I cannot begin to tell you how much I love this beautiful person. I read what my children were going to say. And again, this huge weight was lifted from my shoulders. They said it all. Judy's niece, Lena, says it all. And as Joel said, she sent an amazing email. I had it printed, and hopefully it's by the door. You'll be able to take it. She called AKA Wonder Woman. I just love that. So now I just have to add incidentals. Judy's wish was to be cremated, which we are abiding by. We know that it's definitely not the Jewish tradition, but you know Jude. I want to know who's out there, okay, that will be prepared to tell her no. That's what I thought. We all take whatever we can, the things that help us get through these times. Judy was, as she said, she was concerned but calm. And as Sheila says, and at peace. It's important to me that you know that at the time of her passing, we were all with her, Doran, Sheila, Joel, and myself. We had all told her how much she was loved, and we all told her that it was okay to go. And that's what happened. But we were all there with her. Judy's crowning moment is probably what she accomplished in helping Joel recover from his assault. This alone could take an hour, but I won't go there. Her tenacity, her research, her finding the right people to help Joel, and more importantly, her own way of doing it. Give you an example. Judy signed up our son Joel for boxing lessons. So like this is after the assault and his recovery. Signed him up for boxing lessons, mainly for the exercise component, but with the understanding that he would also want to spar. The instructors understood that it was okay for Joel to hit them, but it was not okay for them to hit Joel. Apparently, the other people in the class could not understand why they never hit back. The boxing was an amazing tool in Joel's remarkable recovery. And by the way, Judy was told by the recovery team that they didn't know if this was such a good idea. You know Jude. Way to go, kiddo. An amazing, amazing mother. I used to tell the kids that their mother is one of the smartest people I know. I told her brother that, and he replied, "You obviously don't know a lot of people." But I have often wondered what she could have accomplished had she not focused all her attention on the family. I agree. Judy was also a wordsmith, and my children learned well, as their beautiful words tonight attest to that. I found a clipping amongst her items. Amazing, I found this one. Judy was always tearing articles out of magazines and newspapers, as Doran said, to be forwarded in the future. This one reads, "We've learned that life is what we make it. I believe that we all choose to be either a victim or survivor in any situation. Your attitude plus your choices equal your life. Whether it's an accident or fate, no one else can make your life better. We have to do that for ourselves, just maybe with a little help from others. So the messages of condolence echo the same. Her warmth, her love, her smile, her caring, her listening. I'm a terrible listener and it drove her crazy. And her kindness. Here are just a few things as to why I love Judi, and believe me, it's just a few. We were married for 47 years. Judi said, 40 good, 7, eh. And I was delighted that it was only 7. I took Judi on a real roller coaster ride in my business life, and I mean a roller coaster ride. She never said boo. Never said boo. In the hospital, lying there with closed eyes, and if you said the word Shayla, one eye would open immediately. About 10 years ago, we're snuggling. She says to me, not only do I love you, but I'm in love with you. This is after 35 years of marriage. So how can you not love someone like this? Judi was also a SDE. So I'll be polite. She was a poop disturber extraordinaire. Judi also had recycling OCD. She would rinse and then dry tuna cans. After all, we all know that you do not send wet tuna cans to recycling. I would tell her that, as far as I was concerned, she got the short stick in this marriage. And I don't ever recall her commenting on that. I had many names for Judi. Jude, Judi, Judith Ann for the more serious moments, Yehudit, Sweetie, Kiddo, and how's my good-looking broad? With apologies to the feminists. In writing these words, it has just confirmed how strong and caring and loving a person she was. Now here comes a really hard part for me. The world is filled with good and excellent grandmothers, and the tragedy here is that her grandchildren will no longer have their amazing bumps. It's not right, but we will do whatever it takes to keep her memory alive. My middle name is Simon. I think most of you know that I tell people that my middle name is Lucky. Len Lucky Libin. Judi is and always has Judi is and always has been the real reason that I call myself that. And she knew that because I told her time and time again. I married one in a million, and I'm telling you that those are amazing odds. I will miss her every single day. Again, thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you, Len. We're going to recite El Malei Rachamim. It's not in your handout. It's a prayer for Judi's soul. We ask that God escort her soul to heaven, tachat kanpecha shekhinah, under the wings of God's presence. I spoke earlier today at the cemetery. We had a memorial service there for our congregation, our community. I talked about how the soul is that thing about a person that is unique. It's the thing that we fall in love with. It's unique to them, and therefore it's unique to us. And that the soul doesn't die. And though I think older Jewish theology, I might even say simple Jewish theology, says the soul goes to heaven, I think that those of us that have lived in the world a bit, have lost loved ones, know that the soul remains here with us. It becomes a part of us and everybody who loved that person. And the way we access that soul is exactly as this family just did. Through telling stories, drawing lessons from their life. And in that way the soul never dies, and it may go up to heaven, but it also stays here. And it's part of us. So I'll ask you to rise as Cantor Gutman chants that prayer.
El mole rachamim shochein b'meromim hametzei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashechina b'mahalot kedoshim utaharim Gezohar harakia mazhirin et nishmat Yehudit bat Avraham v'Sara sheholcha leolamo began Eden tehei menuchato O noble harachamim, hastirecha beseter kinofecha liolamim. Utzror bitzaror hachayim et nishmata. Adonai hu nachalato, v'tanuach b'shalom. Amishkavam no more. Amen.
Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Judi, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And we say together, Amen. One more poem before Kaddish and we'll remain standing. When I die, if you need to weep, cry for someone walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around others and give them what you need from me. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands and souls touch souls. You can love me most by sharing your joys, multiplying your good deeds. You can love me most by letting me live in your eyes and not in your mind. And when you say Kaddish for me, remember what our Torah teaches. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that is left of me is love, give me away. The Kaddish prayer is on the other side of that sheet. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah v'yolma divrach yeruteh v'yamlich malchuteh v'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayeh l'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'yimaru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach ve'olam olomei omaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitfa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitfaleh v'yitalal shemei l'kudisha v'richu E'elamin kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damin ram be'alma v'yimaru amen. Yehei shlamar haba min shemayim, v'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Oseh shalom b'ramav, huya aseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'kol yoshvei tevel v'yimaru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn. Comfort this family, this circle of friends, and all the bereaved. May her memory always be a blessing, and we say together, Amen.
Ose shalom bimromam, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imaru, amen.
There will be a Shiva here tomorrow at 7 p.m., same space. It'll also be streamed online. We thank you so much for being here. Reminder, please, if you do go into the building for washrooms or whatever, to keep your masks on. Thank you to the family, and thank you to all of you for being here. May her memory be a blessing. Thank you.
Bartov.